The story of Jannick Sinner's rise in tennis continues to capture the imagination of fans all around the world. Every time he steps onto the court, he writes another chapter in a career that seems destined for greatness. And in Beijing, at the China Open, Sinner once again showed why he is not just one of the most talented young players on tour, but also one of the most consistent and composed competitors of his generation. By lifting the China Open trophy, Sinner didn't just claim another title. He stamped his authority as one of the leaders of the next era of men's tennis. But after the final point was won, after the applause of the Beijing crowd died down, whispers began to circulate online. Did Jannick Sinner break character? Did the usually calm, collected Italian finally let his emotions run wild in the locker room with dynamic, celebratory scenes that stunned even his closest fans? A few videos popped up online, teasing locker room celebrations. Titles on YouTube called them lovely moments, while others hinted at something more energetic, something that contradicted his usually composed image. And that has left the tennis world asking, was it true? Did Jannick Sinner really unleash dynamic locker room celebrations after winning the China Open? To understand why this rumor even caught fire, we first have to revisit the importance of this victory. The China Open, held in Beijing, is not just another tournament on the calendar. It's one of the marquee ATP 500 events, played in front of passionate fans, often featuring the very best of the best. By the time Sinner reached the final, he was carrying not just his own momentum, but the weight of expectation. His opponent, Lerner Tan, was a young talent looking for a breakout, but Sinner's experience, precision, and sheer composure proved too much. With a scoreline of 6-2, 6-2, Sinner closed the match in emphatic fashion, adding another gleaming trophy to his growing collection. What made the moment even more significant was not just the win itself, but the way Sinner handled the spotlight. During the trophy ceremony, he thanked his team, acknowledging those who were there with him in Beijing and those who weren't able to make the trip. It was a reminder that tennis, though played alone on court, is never a solo journey. Behind every great player is a team of coaches, physiotherapists, trainers, and family who carry the weight with him. That humility is what defines Jannick Sinner's character. He is not boastful. He does not show arrogance. His demeanor is calm, professional, and mature beyond his years as aware. Then, does the idea of dynamic locker room celebrations come into play? In the days following the final, a video began to circulate online. It appeared to show Sinner back with his team, smiling, laughing, posing with the trophy, and even sharing light-hearted moments in what seemed like a post-match celebration. For some fans, seeing Sinner in this mood was a surprise. He is often so stoic on the court, even in victory, that a genuine, playful celebration stood out. To his supporters, this was proof that he does celebrate in his own way, that he can be animated, even dynamic, when surrounded by the people he trusts most. But here's the truth. While that celebration video exists, it was far from the wild, champagne-soaked locker room parties you might see in other sports. There was no jumping on tables, no dramatic shouting, no chaos. Instead, what fans saw was something more subtle but equally meaningful. They saw a champion letting his guard down, sharing his joy privately with his team, and showing a more human, youthful side of himself. In Sinner's world, that in itself is dynamic. Because when a player known for his composure lets himself laugh and celebrate, the contrast feels powerful. It's also important to note that mainstream tennis coverage, from outlets like Reuters and ATP Tour, made no mention of dramatic celebrations. They focused instead on his performance, his dominance in the final, and his remarks about his team. This suggests that if there were dynamic moments, they were personal, low-key, and not the kind of headline-grabbing spectacle that makes the front page. The dynamic label is therefore more a matter of interpretation. To fans who are used to seeing Sinner so composed, even a joyful locker room hug with his team feels like a dramatic departure, and that's where the fascination lies. We live in an age where fans crave access to the private side of athletes. They want to know not just how their heroes perform on the court, but how they celebrate, how they live, how they let their emotions out when the cameras are supposed to be gone. That's why these locker room clips resonate so much. They humanize champions like Sinner. They show us that behind the mask of discipline, there's a young man who wants to laugh, who wants to enjoy his victories, and who knows the value of sharing them with those closest to him. For Jannick Sinner, winning the China Open is more than just another line on his resume. It's part of a narrative. His career is building towards something bigger, and each victory on the tour is another brick laid in his foundation. But it's not just about the wins. It's about how he grows as a person, how he opens up, and how he allows fans to see different sides of himself. The locker room celebration, whether you call it dynamic, modest, or simply joyful, is part of that story. It's a glimpse behind the curtain, and it adds depth to his public image. That what's also worth noting is how different champions have their own signature ways of celebrating. Rafael Nadal bites his trophies and jumps in pools with his team. Novak Djokovic dances and sings. Roger Federer often opted for quiet family moments. Sinner seems to be finding his own balance. He may never be the type to spray champagne around the room or shout until his voice is gone. But his celebrations, understated as they may seem, carry a sincerity that fans love. His smile, his laughter, and his gratitude are his version of dynamic. So, is it true that Jannick Sinner had dynamic locker room celebrations after winning the China Open title in Beijing? The answer depends on how you define dynamic. If you're expecting chaos and loud theatrics, then no, that wasn't the case. But if dynamic means seeing a new, more open side of Sinner, watching him laugh freely with his team, and seeing him savor the moment in a way we don't often get to witness, then yes, it's absolutely true. For Jannick Sinner, even small bursts of joy are powerful because they show us the person behind the player, and perhaps that's what makes his journey so compelling. He doesn't need to put on a show to be authentic. His victories speak for themselves. His composure tells one part of the story, while his quiet, heartfelt celebrations tell another. Together, they paint the picture of a champion who is both disciplined and human, a player destined for greatness, but grounded in humility. Yes, fans, we can expect that every future title will bring more of these glimpses into Sinner's world. The wins will keep piling up, but so will the moments of joy, the celebrations with his team, the subtle but meaningful releases of emotion. And each time, whether it's a smile in the locker room or a laugh caught on camera, we'll feel like we're part of the journey. The next time you hear about Jannick Sinner having dynamic locker room celebrations, remember this. It's not about noise or chaos. It's about authenticity. It's about a young champion allowing himself to enjoy his success, even for a moment. And in the world of tennis, sometimes that's the most dynamic thing of all.